Someone has been in my house. Hi, my name is Rachel. I've always loved being home alone, having the whole house to myself. But a specific day made me dislike it. It was a Saturday, I was home alone. My parents had gone to a relative's birthday party, and I wanted to stay home. It was around 6 in the evening. I was preparing cupcakes to eat while watching a series on Netflix. I had just put them in the oven, and I would have to wait 40 minutes until they were ready. So I sat on the couch and put on some music on the TV to listen to, until I heard someone ring the doorbell. Did my parents forget something? I looked through the peephole. It wasn't my parents. It was a guy who looked like a delivery man. He was all wet because it was raining heavily. I decided to open the door for him. He didn't seem like a threat. I opened the door and asked him if he needed something. He introduced himself and asked if he could stay at my house until the rain passed. I told him I couldn't, as he was a complete stranger to me. He asked if I was alone at home. Why? I said no, that my parents were with me, and told him to leave. He held the door and insisted on coming in. I got annoyed and threatened to call the police if he didn't leave. I locked the door and went to check if the whole house was locked. I called my parents to tell them what had happened. They didn't answer. They must be enjoying the party. I left that aside and went to check on my cupcakes. There were still 10 minutes left until they were ready. Until I heard a noise of glass breaking. I ran to see what it was and found the back door open with the glass shattered. Someone entered my house? I panicked, grabbed my phone, and ran to my room to call the police. But while they didn't show up, what would I do? I stayed locked there for a long time, not knowing what was happening outside. Was the person stealing something? Have they already left? I couldn't hear anything anymore. Until I remembered the cupcakes in the oven. They were going to burn and could set my house on fire. I decided to quietly leave the room to turn off the oven and see what was going on. I went downstairs, and in the middle of the way, everything went dark. Did they cut the power cords? And now? I started trembling, didn't know what to do. I hoped the police would arrive quickly. I was begging for it. I went to get my phone to turn on the flashlight and see where I was walking, but I stupidly left the phone in the room. Now I wouldn't even need to turn off the oven anymore. I tried to run back up and return to the room, but started hearing footsteps from behind. Someone entered my house. I went into the room, locked the door again, and searched for my phone. I had no internet, couldn't call my mom. I tried to open the window and ask for help from someone outside, until I saw him, the delivery man who came to talk to me. I tried to wave, talk to him, but he wouldn't look up. So I thought of grabbing a notepad and throwing several paper balls at him until he looked. That caught his attention. I was relieved. I asked him to wait and threw another paper ball asking for help. He read it. I told him the back door was open and waited for him to come. After a few minutes, I heard knocks on the door of my room. Was it him? I asked who it was, and it was the same voice of the delivery man. I opened the door and he said there was no one in the house. So I thought he had already left. I explained to him everything that had happened, and he offered to fix the power cords for me. The lights came back on. I thanked him and said I would give him a cupcake as a thank you. I went to the kitchen to get a cupcake and left him waiting in the living room. When I returned, he wasn't there anymore. I was confused, called out for him, but nothing. I left the cupcake wrapped on the kitchen counter and went to look for him. He wasn't anywhere. I wondered what had happened, until I heard footsteps coming from downstairs. Now I didn't know if it was the intruder or if it was the delivery man. How would I go down? I went down quietly to try and see something down there and saw the delivery man standing at the kitchen door holding a huge axe. Was it him all along? I needed to get out of there as quickly as possible. He could kill me even if I locked myself somewhere. He had an axe. He could easily break the doors. But I had no idea what to do. I started shaking. My heart was racing. I heard footsteps again, so I hid in my parents' room. I heard him coming up the stairs and the sound of doors being opened. He was after me. I started looking for something that could help me. I grabbed blankets from the closet and tied them together to jump out the window to the street. As soon as I finished, I needed something to hold him inside the room. I found it strange that I hadn't heard anything during that time, but I was thankful. Until I looked at the window. He was there, waiting for me to appear. He knew I was there and that I was going to try to jump, but how? I stared at him for minutes, thinking if he was there, no one would kill me, right? But then he started running into the house. I was very scared at that moment. I tied the blankets to the curtain rod and waited for him to give some sign, because he could still be down there. Then I heard a very loud noise behind me. He was axing at the door. I started to go down to the street, looked up, and he was at the window trying to untie the blanket. I looked down and kept going down. When I got down there, I looked at the window again and he had disappeared. He was coming after me. I ran all the way to a neighbor's known house. And then I heard the sirens of the police cars arriving. I ran to them, and others went to look for the intruder. After a few minutes, my parents arrived, hugged me, and asked what had happened during this time. In the middle of the conversation with my parents, the police officers appeared and said that the intruder had escaped. What? Escaped? What would we do now? He could come back. They said they would continue searching and asked for the camera footage. I still didn't feel safe with him out there, but there was nothing else we could do. 3 days passed. I was on the computer late at night. I received a message. It was from a stranger. When I saw it, I was shocked. The message said that he was closer than I imagined, and there was a video attached. When I opened it, I froze. It was me sitting on the computer late at night, 3 days after the incident, wearing the same clothes. He was in my room.